Are you caught in a riptide? Hey there, I'm Sharon Pope. I help women who are struggling in lonely and disconnected marriages get the confidence and clarity they need to either fix the struggles in their marriage or be able to move forward without regret. If you like what you hear, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel.
People decide to get married, it means they've chosen each other to spend the rest of their life together. But then, several years into the marriage, what started out as two people being inseparable now becomes incompatible. My name is Sharon Pope. I am a master life coach and a 7-time best-selling author on love and relationships. I help women who are struggling in their lonely and disconnected marriages get the confidence and clarity they need to either fix the struggles in their marriage or lovingly release it without regret. You can go to clarityformymarriage.com to explore if there's a fit for you and I to work together today.
So today I want to talk to you about how change can feel like a riptide in your life. Now, living near the ocean, we see a lot of information about riptides or undertows, as they might be called. There's warnings at every beach entrance, pretty much, to warn the tourists about the undertow or the riptide. And so what is it? For those of you that don't live near the ocean or maybe have never heard that term, it's essentially a long, narrow band of water that's flowing away from the shore. And so for swimmers, it's easy to get caught up in that riptide and it will send you out to sea. Now, that's where sometimes people, because they don't know what to do in a riptide, they try to turn around and swim towards the shore, but you're swimming against the ocean current. And inevitably, you can't overpower the ocean. And so that's when tragedies can happen, right? And people get pulled out to sea and tragedies happen. Sometimes in our lives, when there are big changes, particularly in something like our marriage, it can feel kind of like a riptide, right? Because there's a whole bunch of things happening that are outside of our control. And sometimes no matter how hard we push against it, we can't seem to change the outcome. And all that happens is that we are faced with the ultimate decision to either flow with it or to perish, right? Either to suffer or to consciously choose to end our own suffering. And so I want to share with you the story of a client of mine and her husband. So the client had she had come to the decision that after 34 years of marriage, that for her, the marriage was complete and that it was time to close this particular chapter because they had children together. They were always going to be in one another's lives. And it doesn't mean that she didn't value the 34 years that they had together, right? It just means that she wanted the next 34 years to look and feel dramatically different than the last 34 years. Okay. So when she told her husband that for her, she wanted to end the marriage, understandably, he was upset because he didn't want the marriage to end. This was her decision. So he began swimming against the current. What did that look like? It looked like him asking her why at least 100 times because he didn't really like the answer he was getting, so he couldn't really hear it. So he just kept asking the question, hoping to get a different answer, maybe one that he could address so that he could change her decision. He promised that he would change. He was willing to do anything, even go to therapy, even though it was just a year ago that she had been in therapy and she had begged him to go with her and he refused. And he even resorted to what I would consider manipulative threats in his desperation, saying things like, if you leave, you're going to be left with nothing, things like that. He's just using whatever tools he can to try to change the outcome because he's scared and he doesn't want that outcome. So I understand that. Now, she had changed. She was not the same person 34 years later than when they met and when they married. And ultimately, what she wanted in her most intimate relationship also changed, right? Like many of us, when she got married, what she wanted was a stable, good man with similar values as her that she could raise a family with. But now, 34 years later, what she wanted was very different. And that's okay. I know we resist change because change feels uncomfortable for most of us, which is kind of an odd thing since we are surrounded by change. Like there's not a single thing on the planet that doesn't experience change. It doesn't matter if we're talking about the tree outside your window or we're talking about the siding on your house. Like everything is constantly changing, even if we can't see that change in action. So it wasn't that she didn't value their 34 years together. It just means she wanted something different moving forward. And here's the thing. This is how most of us deal with change is we swim against the current. We flail about because we're so uncomfortable with that change. Okay. So in a riptide, if you are ever caught in a riptide, there are some things that they tell you to do. First, stay calm. Second, they tell you to allow yourself to be taken out to sea, to flow with the current. Don't swim against the current. Then they tell you that when you are past the riptide, you'll feel it, and to start swimming parallel to the shoreline. And then once you're out of that funnel, once you're out of that band of water that's flowing away from the shore, then you can turn and start to swim back to shore. Now, the other thing they tell you is to call out and ask for help. Yell, holler, wave your arms around so that someone else might be able to come out and help you. Now, when you're feeling like you are caught in a riptide in your own life, I want to give you some helpful reminders. Number one, stay calm. Trust in your own well-being. Trust that those around you that you love will find their way through this and be better on the other side of it. That can be your partner, even when you choose to end the relationship. That can be your kids when you're worried about how they're going to fare through a divorce. Trust in the well-being that is available to us. Secondly, at some point, you will have to accept your partner's decision. Right? There's nothing wrong with trying to change it or trying to understand it and doing what you can to see if that will change. But if it doesn't change, eventually you will either suffer endlessly or you will have to flow with it and accept it. And then you get to decide how you deal with it and how you show up in the midst of that change. And of course, if you need help in that process, you should ask for help, right? So I know that sometimes change in our lives, especially when it's outside of our control, can feel like we are caught in a riptide. And so what we want to do is flail about and push against it. Sometimes that's not the right answer. Okay. I hope that was helpful for you. I would love for you to check out my brand new ebook called 3 Things Women Want Men to Know, for men and the women who love them. It's for men and women, right? Because sometimes women are like, Sharon, if you could just express this to my husband, I think he would hear it differently. So these are the words, ladies, in this ebook. You can go to 3thingstoknow.com. That's the number 3thingstoknow.com. If this was helpful for you or you like what you hear on this channel, I hope you'll subscribe. And if you want to be notified every time we post a new video, at the end of this video, you can click the button in the upper left corner. Until next time, take really good care.